Hello, it is May 20th, 2016, and I want to bring you this Piney News update here from Edgewood Preserve in Deer Park, right along Long Island Avenue, so you're going to hear some traffic in the background. But I want to talk to you about some issues going on. We have trouble in New Jersey, and I want to talk about this because we have a major development that is now planned that we thought this development was going to be more of a preservation, but it's turning out to be a major development going on in Manchester Township. This is west of Toms River, and you see the whole story below. It's called City in the Pines. They want to build a little city in the Pine Barrens. Let me give you a little overview of this site. This site is a former sand mine site. You may know it as Sarco, Heritage Minerals. But much of the site is undeveloped. Much of it is pine barrens, very much like this. And there's a lake in the middle, a very large lake, because when they dug the sand out, it hit the water table. So it's a very large lake. It's a beautiful, like, crystal lake that's there. It's actually quite pretty. And unfortunately, though, it is private property, so you're not really allowed to go there. This is, there was a plan a while ago. Right now, currently, Hovson's, or Hovnanian, you may be familiar with them, owns that property. And they want to build, originally, it was supposed to be a much smaller development. There was an agreement made between Manchester, an amendment, and it was going to be a much smaller development. And unfortunately, now, it's going to be a much, much bigger development than they originally said. They went back on their word. Basically, Manchester went back on their word, and now they want to build this huge development that's completely incompatible with the area. How huge, you may ask? Well, let's just say it's bigger than anything that's actually been proposed on Long Island. We're talking almost like 5,000 residential units, a couple million feet of retail space, a million square feet of commercial retail space. They want to make a little city here, all right? They want to make a city in the Pine Barrens. This is an area west of Toms River. This is a fairly I'd say semi-rural area, whatever. It's basically away from the major. It's practically in the Pine Barrens here. All right, you're talking Lakehurst, Whiting, that area. Very much, it does not belong there. And Let's just take a look. We're going to overview this site. I want to talk about this a little more in June's Piney News, but I just want to give you a very brief overview of the site so you know where it is. Give you a brief overview of the area where they want to build this huge development. If you can see in the center of the frame here, there is the lake that's labeled Crystal Lake right there. This is Lakehurst, and this is a pretty rural area here. As you can see, we're in Manchester Township. And as you can see, again, it's mostly a wooded area. We're just going to zoom in a little bit. I'm just going to make this a brief look at this area here. This is a huge area that is mostly undeveloped. This is the lake that was created when they mined all the sand out of here many years ago. But this is actually a very beautiful place. And the town of Manchester wants to turn this into a city. And in addition to turning it into a city, you can't even explore it because the police will be there to give you a $1,000 trespassing ticket or worse. Something is seriously wrong here. All right, so as you can see, it's the middle of the Pine Barrens. It's beautiful there. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to go there. And now the mayor of Manchester Township now is abusing his power because he's using the police department now, the Manchester Police Department, to go into this site and act as security guards for Hovnanian to keep out trespassers. And so it doesn't matter if you're riding a bike, it doesn't matter if there is illegal activity there. It's been a problem. ATV use, people going and swimming in that water hole. Unfortunately, some people have died. But he is saying that he's using the township police force to give anyone that's caught him there a $1,000 trespassing ticket. $1,000 for simply going to the woods. All right, I know it's private property, but his police force is acting as private security guards for a private developer using taxpayer money. You have to wonder, how much has Hovnanian contributed to the campaign of the mayor of Manchester? How much? So you have to ask. I know there's some money going on there. It's just like, originally this was supposed to be a much smaller development, now turned back to a bigger development, completely incompatible with the area. Part of the site is in a preservation area and can't be developed, but a lot of it is in a compatible growth area, what is similar to what we have on Long Island, is compatible growth. And it just means growth. They think they could just build there, but what this project is completely incompatible. We're going to go into much more detail in June's Piney News about what's going on at this site. I think that it's a travesty, and it just goes to show you that development problems, they're not just Long Island. Pine barrens, trees, the development threatens all across this country, all across this world. We have problems with deforestation and people wanting to knock down woods to gain a profit, and that's something that we've got to learn, that we've got to stop doing. There's no reason to be building this huge development out in the middle of the pine barrens. They could develop a smaller part of the property that's more disturbed. That was the original plan, and Manchester had agreed to that, and now Manchester has gone back on their word, along with the developer, trying to ram this through, and they're meeting today about it, the planning board. So I know it's a little late notice, but I'll see what I can do as far as if there's any news articles I'll put up in this video. But I just wanted to let you know about that, because this is a major problem, and it's I don't want to push it off till June, even though it's only 10 days from now or so. I want to talk about it now, because it's a serious, serious problem. This development will forever ruin the character of the Pine Barrens in Ocean County. Let me make that clear. It's that big of a development. The impact here is terrible. And the mayor is abusing his power, and we all know why he's doing it. He's not doing this to scare off the ATV people, because they're going to try to go in anyway. He's doing this to scare off people like me and other environmental people from going onto the property and documenting the habitat there. That's what it is. And unfortunately, I'm not in the financial situation to afford a $1,000 ticket. But if I was, you know I'd be going there. All right? So that's what's going on there, and I'll update you much more in June. Now we're going to talk briefly about some issues on Long Island. Next week, there are scoping meetings for the third track on the Long Island Railroad, third track on the main line, along with the grade crossing eliminations. And those meetings are taking place at various locations within central Nassau County. And you click the link below, you find out about it. I believe there's transportation from Hicksville and Mineola. The Long Island Railroad will offer a shuttle bus. This is a project that is so very much needed. The main line is terribly overcrowded, and the limitations. You can hear the train right there, but the limitations the main line right now is very antiquated. All right, the main line should have been like the Babylon branches now with a third track. That should have happened years ago. But I'm glad that our governor is trying to get this through. And unfortunately, there are people like Jack Martins holding a press conference yesterday, along with people who are opposed to this. And, if this plan does not happen, the main line will not see much of the benefits of East Side access. Where are those benefits going to go? They're going to mainly go to the Babylon branch and the Port Jefferson branch. The Port Washington branch, excuse me. So we're not going to see those benefits. And what it does is it hurts our area, and it goes against everything that's been planning with Long Island. Because all the higher density housing, all the apartments for the younger people are being put along the main line in towns like Mineola, Farmingdale, Westbury. These are the areas that need more trains. All right? The Babylon branch doesn't have many apartments. It's mostly single-family homes. And so the Babylon branch is getting it easy, and we are getting more and more crowded. And so things need to change. And so this project will be, I think, if you're against it, you obviously need your head examined. Now, this other thing that I'm going to talk about here, I want to talk about the ridership numbers for the Long Island Railroad. I'm going to talk about that in this next coming week. I'm going to go over the ridership numbers, some of the changes going on there. I promised that. And then June's Piney News will go into more detail about all this other stuff. And then in June also, I want to talk a little more about what I'm going to talk about next, which is divided Long Island. We have very unfair treatment going on, and I think the Long Island Railroad reflects that. You know, we don't have enough trains on the main line. They're very crowded, and yes, the improvements that the third track provide, definitely a lot of that's necessary, but they could still add a little more service right now, and they choose not to. For instance, this Ronkonkoma line here, when it came out here, I took I think it was the 214 from Penn Station. The 214 from Penn, and it gets to Hicksville, I think 304, something like that. And I got on at Hicksville 304, and it was crowded, packed, all right? And this is because there's only one train an hour going out to Ronkonkoma. This, you know, and they could run half-hourly service I explained to you before. They could do it right now. They did it during that golf tournament. They could do it right now. They choose not to. Yes, it's going to make the logistics a little harder with the way things are right now, because there's no double track yet, though they're working on it. But they could still do it. They could still do it. At least one other. You need to add a train at least between the 114 and the 214, because that train was overcrowded. All right. Meanwhile, the Babylon line gets a train every half an hour all the time. You know, and then they have the other thing going on with the conditions of the stations. Renovation has started on Wantagh. All right. Wantagh needs it. It's not in good shape, all right? But it's interesting that Wantagh is the third station in the same area. Massapequa was done last year, then Seaford, in the same general area of Nassau, while we have stations like Mineola. Mineola is not in great shape either, but Hicksville is in terrible shape. And even Freeport, right on the Babylon branch, is also in bad shape. Also, there's been an escalator project that's been ongoing. Somebody commented on that a while ago. So you have all these projects going on the South Shore, but it seems like everybody else is being forgotten about, and you have to think, what do all these towns have in common? Wantagh, Massapequa, Seaford, what do they all have in common? They're all white, and they're all well off. Now, isn't that interesting? I think it's very interesting. And it seems like ever since Patrick Nowakowski has come in, that's all he cares about is the Babylon branch. He doesn't really care about anything else. All he cares about is the Babylon branch and, you know, improvements there. And meanwhile, we have problems on the main line. I mean, we have, you know, you go to the stations, all those stations, Merrick, Belmore, they're like beautiful stations. Beautiful. The seats, there's a canopy. Meanwhile, in Westbury, we don't even have seats on the eastbound side. So the poor folks going east have to sit on the platform because, you know, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. All right, and these are things that could be improved right now. All right, what does it take to put a couple of seats on the platform in Westbury? All right, and I really think that it's time to really, you know, make things a little more fair here. Because right now, I don't think things are very fair. You know, for instance, the other night I took that 754 train from Penn. That thing was jammed. 754 to Huntington. Why? Because Huntington doesn't see enough service. Babylon gets a train every 15 minutes, while we get a train every half an hour in rush hour. And what do you think is going to happen? It's going to be jammed. And that's reflected in the ridership numbers, which I'm going to talk about in the next video. So I'll talk about that. It needs to be more even distribution of service. We could do it right now, but we still need the third track project. We still need this double track project complete here on the Ronkonkoma line. And we still need those grade crossings eliminated. The main line needs to be modernized and look like the Babylon branch. We deserve it. We need it. We certainly have the people to support it. The other thing with Nice Bus conditions at Hempstead Transit Center, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, are terrible. It's so bad now that they don't even have the restrooms open. They close the restrooms like 1 o'clock in the 1 p.m. Restrooms aren't even open most of the time because of all the bums and thugs that hang out in that spot, and the security doesn't do anything. They're friends with them. They don't do anything. It's complete lawlessness over there. Nothing's done about it. Once again, this is all part of a divided Long Island. You know, same thing on the Long Island Railroad. All right, you have the MTA police there in Merrick keeping order. But Hicksville, you have people selling candy. You have bums hanging out. Nothing's done about it. You know, people need to be treated equally. All right, that's what I'm about. All right, you know, you have all this stuff going on. You have all these problems going on at certain stations, and they're being ignored. While stations that are in wealthier areas seem to get treated better. And this has got to stop. Especially with the Wall Street, all right? I have nothing against anyone if they make money. They have every right to make money and do well for themselves. But that doesn't give you the right to deny other people the right to live in your community, as long as they're, you know, law-abiding citizens. It doesn't give you the right to demand preferential treatment while people in other areas are neglected. It doesn't give you that right. All right, let me make that clear. I've received some messages from certain people that I'm not going to name, but they, in other places, not here on YouTube, they basically have said those things, that these people on the South Shore and Belmore, these Wall Street people, they only want to live with their own kind. And they have the right to do that. They think they have the right to do that. I don't think they have the right to do that. All right? That's the difference here. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of political discussion because we have an election going on this year, an important presidential election. So I'm going to talk about it, along with illegal immigration, because illegal immigration is terrible. All right? The rich people want illegal immigration. Hillary wants illegal immigration. That's why everybody loves Hillary so much. I go into the Belmore, they're always watching CNN. The Wall Street people love CNN because CNN loves Hillary. CNN loves Wall Street. Let me make it clear, I don't like Wall Street, all right? I think there are a bunch of arrogant, snobby people in there on Wall Street, and I think that we do need more control on Wall Street. But at the same time, you don't think this Democratic Party today doesn't care about the poor. Right? Hillary is with Wall Street. She is not working for the poor. She's not working for the middle class. She's not working for equality. She's working for Wall Street. All right. Bernie Sanders, on the other hand, he is working for the poor. But the problem with Bernie is he supports open borders, and I can't support that because illegal immigration is a terrible thing, and it's certainly a burden on only certain communities on Long Island, obviously, while other communities like on the South Shore don't have to deal with them. We have to deal with them. All right, and you know, towns like mine, Westbury, we got to deal with these illegals. All right, and it's not fair to us, while other towns don't. You know, and so I think right now that Donald Trump is the best candidate. All right, and for people who think that Donald Trump is Wall Street, he actually wants to take away a lot of the loopholes that Wall Street uses to get rich. So I actually think that Donald Trump is a lot less connected to Wall Street than Hillary Clinton is. Doesn't mean I agree with everything. I think his environmental record quite shaky, all right? But unfortunately, you can't have everything in one candidate, you know? If I could, I'd combine Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump into one candidate. Can't do that, all right? So we have a lot to talk about, and I think I've made this Piney News long enough, all right? This is supposed to be just an update, but I want to just tell you those things. You know, we have serious problems, inequality on Long Island, overcrowding on trains, on the main line, while people on the Babylon branch, they get the best stations, they get the best service, they don't have to deal with the crowding. We have to deal with it, and it's not fair, and it's got to change. And the other thing that's got to change, of course, is we got to stop destroying the Pine Barrens. Whether it's New Jersey, Long Island, wherever. This is a beautiful place. I'm sorry if you don't see the beauty in it, but it's a beautiful place, and places like these need to be protected and saved. So thank you for watching this Piney News. Take it easy.